really interesting to hear people talking there. It's not something that I would normally talk about. I'd normally talk about technology and social media, which is what I work in. And I wanted to sort of touch on a couple of themes. I was lucky enough to travel quite a lot when I was younger. And there's always three, I think, great cities in the world that really stood out. One of them is Melbourne. The second one is San Francisco, and the third one that I would always think is Berlin. Now those are probably, they stand out more for me because they have sort of quite strong tech centres and culturally they're very good. And I wanted to sort of come at it from a technology point of view in relation to Dublin. I think we've got a fantastic city here, and I actually decided to base my business here when I came back, and there's about 30 of us here now in Dublin, and I'm always obsessed with we work an awful lot on the culture of the business, and I think people in Ireland kind of forget that, because at the end of the day when you go to work, it's probably the place where you spend nearly half of your day. And you tend to think of it as a drag. So what we're trying to do is kind of make it a cool place to go to work. If you're going to spend half your day there, you might as well make it fun. So I think those cities are really, really good at it for a number of reasons. In Ireland, I just picked Google, but all the big guys are here, like Facebook and LinkedIn and Dropbox and any tech company you could think of. We kind of or the politicians jump around and say, this is brilliant, we've got all these jobs coming into Ireland. But I don't really think it's that good. People sort of try to pigeonhole Ireland as this big tech centre that's got loads of innovation and stuff like that, but we don't really. People go to work in those big offices down there, they mostly stay in there, apart from places like Engine Yard and some places who try and reach out. But there's no sort of culture of innovation around here. There should be lots of cafes, and this is actually one spot, the Science Gallery. There should be lots more of these. But if you look at those three great cities that I like in terms of Berlin or San Francisco, every single corner that you go to, there's a cafe or a co-working space. And when you think that all you need is actually your laptop or your tablet or your phone, anybody can work from those these days. We need to sort of encourage more co-working spaces, because that's where you get that thing. If you think of like myself trying to work on the culture of our company, I think we really need to work on the culture of the city, because I don't think we've got that culture of people sort of working in collaborative spaces, and it would be really cool to see that in Dublin. The second problem that I think we definitely have is booze. So we're all drunks in Ireland pretty much to a certain extent. Maybe not drinking every single day of the week. Maybe there's other countries where people drink more, but I think the way that our licensing laws are set up and the way that we're encouraged to sort of binge drink and buy large volumes of alcohol at certain times is ridiculous. So if I'm in Berlin, I can walk down the street and get a bottle of beer, happily walk down the street and sit in a park because it's a beautiful evening here. Can't do that. It's illegal to drink in a park in Ireland. If I'm thirsty after I finished a long day's work at 10:10 in the evening, which happened the other night, I couldn't even buy one can of beer for myself as a responsible 33-year-old. That's probably something I should be allowed to do. So we've got these crazy, crazy rules that sort of, I think what that does is if stuff gets pulled away from you and you get forced to do stuff, of course you're going to go and binge drink and fall down Camden Street and puke on the pavement. That's just what's in people's mentalities. So the licensing laws would be something I'd change. In Ireland, that's what we think of. We think of people knackered drinking in the parks. We probably all did it when we were younger. There's no reason. But if you go to other cities, you can sit and have a sociable beer in the park. I was in Google Images. It wasn't really working that well for me. And all these rules that were imposed, they come from institutions like the church and government and stuff like that, like not drinking on Good Friday. And for my generation, I went around the office today, there was about one person who went to Mass out of the whole thing. So why are institutions like that sort of telling us when we can and can't drink? I don't know, I think it's a bit ridiculous. And sticking on the booze theme, I really think it's massively important that I wouldn't even know how you'd go about lobbying for change in this country, but I mean, in all those cities, you have such a cool cafe culture where people come out and they can have a glass of wine or an event like this. This is so rare. What you see, I used to live on Camden Street, just in where Credo Pizza is there. And I used to, you couldn't physically go to the shop at 11 o'clock. It would be like a battlefield. of people just lying on the floor. And if you close all the bars at the exact same time and everybody's drunk and hungry, of course you're going to have fights all over the place. So if you try and spread the city out into different areas and be way more liberal on the licensing laws, it's just going to be a lot easier. There's even tiny little things. I know this is not as practical. I'm not very good at planning or cities or anything like that. I'm just trying to pick examples. Like the subway in New York or in Berlin or cities like that just works so well. And stupid little things like you can bring on your dogs or pets or bicycles or stuff like that. I mean, we've got these ridiculous rules and health and safety regulations that are just madness around Dublin. And then the other this is basically just a list of things that annoys me. Basically, I live in Ranelagh, and I literally cannot drive up and down my street any morning because there's mothers in 4x4s driving one kid to school about 200 yards down the road. We need to invest in proper transport systems for kids, or kick them out and make them walk to school. That's what we all had to do. So I know none of this has just basically turned into a big rant, and to make it into an even bigger rant, the weather, that just drives me mad. So I'm thinking we need to launch some sort of nuclear thing to just get good weather to Ireland, because if we did have good weather, I travelled all over the world, and I'm single, and I was young when I decided to set up the business here. I could have done it anywhere, but the crack in Ireland is you can't. You really, really cannot bottle that, and you don't have that in any of those other cities. So if we get those little things right around culture and licensing laws, I think we're well on the way, but we could have an even better city. So that's my rant over. Cheers.